Hello everyone and welcome to today's session. So today we are going to discuss two important topics. One is your chapter number 12, which is digital auditing and assurance. Second is your chapter number 18 about the ESG. Okay. Now, what we are going to do is just like last lecture, we are going to first cover chapter number 12. We'll do a quick revision of chapter number 12. Then we will take some questions so that you guys can have a clarity on the topic. Okay. And then we will proceed to the chapter number 18. Now, again, one important thing is that these are the revision lectures. So please make sure you go through the original lectures and you read the study material. I hope you have read the study material. Okay. Because this will give you a good understanding of the topic about, like what we are discussing, what are the questions. So we'll have a good understanding of that. Okay. So let's start the lecture. So let's begin with, first of all, I'll give you a first, small case study, and then we will see like what, digital audit and auditing digitally. Let's say, for example, a chartered accountant, okay, CAM. You wake up on a Sunday and read about that new portal that allows auditor to get direct authenticated balance confirmation from banks. Okay, so you wake up, okay, there is a new product in the market which allows auditor to get the balance confirmation authenticated directly from bank. Now, what first thought comes in your mind after hearing this news? Oh, I can get the balance confirmation during the audit so quickly and easily with a one click of the button. It is very good here. It is very easy for me now to get the balance confirmation. The balance confirmation is not a headache. So, this particular part that we are talking about, getting balance confirmation very quickly, very easily, is something, digital element that you have added to your audit. That is making your audit easy. Okay. That is making your audit very easy. Now, so this particular term, when we talk about, adding digital component to your audit, that is known as auditing digitally. So there are two main important terms. First, we will discuss about one, digital, just a minute. One is the digital audit basically. Okay. And second is your auditing digitally. So these are the two important terms that are there that we need to understand. So when I talk about digital audit and auditing digitally, what these are, what they mean. So in simple terms, if I talk about in simple terms, it means that when I talk about digital audit, it is kind of placing assurance on the effectiveness of the IT systems that are there in an organization. Okay. When I talk about digital audit, this one, it is nothing but placing assurance on IT systems. Okay. That is which is already there in the organization. For example, you review a technology, you review ERP, you review controls, ITGC controls, which are already there in an organization. The goal here, the ultimate goal here is that you have to build trust. Build trust about that system. That is your ultimate goal when I talk about digital audit. Are you getting the point? That is the main goal about the digital audit, that you build the trust about system by, checking the IT systems which are there. Now coming to the second topic is the auditing digitally. Now, what is auditing? Auditing digitally. So, when you use the IT technology during your audit, so here using IT technology during the audit. Okay. When you use IT technology during the audit, for example, the balance confirmation, digital balance confirmation tool that you use during your audit, okay, that is auditing digitally. Using advancements in the technology to conduct a more effective and efficient audit. So here the goal is conducting more efficient and effective audit. This is the main difference between both of them, digital audit and auditing digitally. Clear? Any doubt with this? Okay. If no, then I have a question to you. Are they something that I can choose any one of them? Is this a scenario where I can choose any one of them?
No, sir.
No, sir, because the audit, digital audit is separate, auditing digitally is separate.
Absolutely correct. They both are separate. Can I do digital, while doing a digital audit, can I do auditing digitally? Answer is yes. Both things are separate. Like if I have to place assurance on the IT systems, I can use technology at the same time. So to perform digital audit, I can do a digital auditing digitally. Here, any doubt? Okay. Now, as we understood digital audit and auditing digitally on a basic terms, the second thing is we need to understand the why, like what are the benefits of both. Okay, so we'll quickly run through the benefits of both so that I will refer the study material, very good drafted, very well, like concise and everything is there. So I'll request everyone to be with me on the study material. Please keep ready your study material ready. Okay. So let's come to page 12.4 on your study material where you have been given with the digital audit. Now over here you have a key features of digital audit that we have already discussed now. For example, technological advancements, because it's a digital audit, you are doing audit of the IT systems, IT infrastructure, ITGC controls, okay, effectiveness of the IT system. So it's a technological advancement that provides confidence to the auditing, not the auditor. I'm talking about auditing because the moment you do an audit of the IT system, who does the audit? Auditor does the audit. So auditor will do the audit of IT systems if they are good, like if they are working fine. Okay, so that will increase the confidence of company. Now, company that is auditing.
Sir, some background noise is coming, sir. Now it's okay, sir.
Okay. I would recommend everyone to just keep their mics closed till the time if they are having any doubt. Okay. Okay, so we were talking about key features of digital audit, that technological advancement which increase the confidence of the auditee. Okay, so basically here technological advancement means like using the IT, auditing the IT systems, and that increase the confidence of the auditee. Then saving in time and cost and human effort. Saving in time and cost and human effort. Okay, it is a standardization of the process Like, there is a standard process across the testing of control, comprehensive overview of the IT systems. Then it's a future for a digital strategy. Means if you are going to implement IT systems, okay, this is the future that each and every company will include IT systems, and accordingly, this particular digital audit will be there. It can help making an informed decisions. Okay. So it can help the auditor to make the informed decision, because the more reliance you played on the IT systems, the less auditing, the less substantive auditing you need to do. Subject to they are effective. Okay. So benefit again. What are the benefits? Very important one. Benefits of digital audit. So one is your enhanced effectiveness and efficiency. So you have enhanced effectiveness and efficiency of the overall audit. Plus, you have a more audit evidence, you have a more coverage because your systems are good, better audit quality. Again, the reason because you are placing more reliance on the IT systems while doing the audit. So you have to do a less substantive. That's why it's a better audit quality. You get more comfort in your audit. Lower cost, because see, testing the IT systems involved, it is less complicated and less time consuming compared to you check each and every transaction. Checking transaction and checking IT system is different. It takes checking IT system, it is a skill job, but it takes less time compared to checking your invoices and transactions, 200, 500, 1,000 samples. Better analytics, yes, very good, and improved risk assessment. So that is, you get the advantage of the digital audit. Now, considering the digital audit, basically, okay, what are the challenges in the digital audit? What could you face difficulties in the digital audit. Now, understand one thing. When I talk about digital audit, it is auditing the systems, auditing the IT systems of the company. Okay, when we place assurance on the IT systems of the company. Okay, auditing the technology itself. So when you audit the technology itself, it is not easy job. As I said, it's a skill requirement. Okay, it's less time consuming, but skill requirement. So there are challenges in that. There are difficulties. There could be difficulties in that. Number one is, like, when there is an IT system, you need to understand what are the benefits for the IT system. What you can say systems that business is implementing, what is the benefit that business is getting from that. Till the time you don't understand the system, you cannot audit that system. So you need to understand what business benefits the organization wants to achieve by that particular system. Why do we have that system in the place? Okay. And then let's say sometimes, whenever a system is implemented, at the end, system is being driven by the people. So you have to think about the people, that, okay, who are the people who are managing that system? Is it difficult for them to manage the system? Is it difficult for them, to work upon that system? Whether they have the right processes in place to manage that particular system. For example, they have a very big ERP, but they do not have a change management process. So can you rely upon the system in that scenario? Then digital strategy of the organization. That means what other systems they have. For example, I have an ERP, okay, which captures the invoice from another system. Okay, let's say, for example, this is a very good brand which is connected with the well-known e-commerce operator. Okay, so there is an e-commerce operator platform. Whenever a sale happen on e-commerce platform, system automatically provides the sale data to the ERP, and ERP makes the payment. Now, in this particular scenario, here is the interconnectivity involved. whether this interconnectivity, digital strategy of multiple systems is appropriate or not. Then again, process which are there in the place, and the governance and data security, which is very, very important. I'm not sure how many of you have heard about the recent data leak news. Okay. But that shows that, okay, what is the current scenario happening? What is the particular, things are happening. So there is, if you just check the recent news, there is a 16 billion password leak news that is going on. There is a huge data breach, cybersecurity breach, and we will come on to the cybersecurity also. Very, very important part. Because the moment you have systems, you need to have a cybersecurity around it to protect. Okay. Now, that was some challenges. Second, now we will go to the auditing digitally. Okay. Again, now when I talk about auditing digitally, what you do in auditing digitally, you capture the data, you automate the procedures, you analyze the information through tools and technology, and you focus on the real risk. That means whatever processes are there in your audit, whatever stages are there in your audit, you are using IT technology to get that processes, get this particular steps in your audit easily. Simple example. I had a bunch of, or you can say list of invoices. Okay. I gave that list of invoices to a particular tool. Let's say AI driven tool. Okay. That tool in turn provided me list of, outliers. That means the invoices which could be a problem, which could have some issues in it, which could, have some kind of, you can say red flags in it. Okay. Outliers, red flags, and it will give me list of outlier invoices. Let's say this was the list of 1,000 invoices. And the list of outliers only 3 invoices. In a normal testing scenario, what would I have done is, I would have taken the sample. If I talk about normal scenario, I would have taken a sample out of it. And I know for 1,000 invoices with a good materiality, you can at least get 50 to 100 samples to test. At least you will test 10% of the number of population with the 60-70% of the amount based on the materiality if it is a high risk area. Okay. But here, using the AI tool, I just got only 3 invoices to test. Yes, I can add further invoices. Let's say I will add another 10 invoices, as in, you can say unpredictability one. But still it is very less compared to what we had over here. So see the difference, like this is auditing digitally. That by using the technology, I reduced the audit work over here. This is where I reduced my work. Okay. And as a result, I got efficiency. I got time saving in my audit. I automate some processes. For example, digital balance confirmations. I will just enter the bank details. I will just enter the bank balance that I have in my books of account. The tool will go to the portal. It will fetch the bank balance. It will do the matching. It will give me the balance confirmation, plus if there is any difference. Are you getting the point? So, using the tools and technology, automating the processes of the audit, enhancing the audit procedures, that's auditing digitally. And what are the benefits? Like key features of that? We just now discussed. Number 1, improved audit quality because you do quick audit. decrease human dependency. When I have to test 50 or 100 samples, I have a human dependency. Yes. But here I don't. Like with the AI, just 3 samples. Increase transparency. That means now I know what are the red flags, what is the outcome. For example, digital tool, balance confirmation, full process is transparent. Like the tool will match for fetch the balance confirmation for me. So no kind of, you can say there could be no intervention by human, no fraud or nothing like that. Automation and ease. No need to send, physical letters to the bank. No need to send the personnel to the bank to get the balance confirmation. Improved efficiency. By taking just 3 samples, I'm done with my audit. Better risk assessment. Because, see, better risk assessment means here, based on my risk assessment, I had 50 to 100 samples. But AI already analyzed to me that it has only 3 invoices with the red flag. That means there is a lesser risk than what I thought. Are you getting the point? So, that is a better risk assessment. And basically, based on this, you can get a good time saving, cost efficiency, process efficiency in your audit. Any doubt?
No, sir.
Any
Clear,
doubt?
sir. Clear, sir.
Okay. Now, let's talk about one more area I just wanted to talk about is when you do digital audit. Now, let's go to the digital audit first. When you do a digital audit, okay, at that timing point, there is one important concept that comes into the play. See, when I'm doing a digital audit, I am doing audit of IT systems. For that, there is a very important step that we need to follow. And that step is understanding the IT environment. Understanding the IT environment, because without which you cannot do digital audit. Yes or no?
Sir. Yes.
Now, one thing, which standards talks about understanding the IT environment? Which standard basically talks about understanding the IT environment? No? Okay. So, if I talk about SA 315, SA 315 helps us to understand the IT environment. It provides the required guidance that how an auditor during the audit of a financial statement should understand the IT environment. Okay, what are the steps that he should take to understand the IT environment basically? For example, understand uh, understand the flow of the transaction first of all, that how the transactions are flowing from one place to another. Number 2, identify significant IT systems. Which are the significant IT systems which are there in place? Third, identify manual and automated controls. In the systems, which are the manual and automated controls, identify the technology used. Which technology used? AI, RPA, blockchains. What is being used in the IT systems? What is the IT system based off? Okay. Then after that, once you do that, you need to assess the complexity of the IT systems, how complex they are. So I will explain this with one very good, you can say, example. Okay. Sorry. Apologies for that. I will explain this with a one very good chart and example that how actually we do and we understand the IT system. Okay. Let's say, for example, I'll just zoom in for you guys. So let's say this is the IT system that I'm talking about. Okay, this is the flow chart of the IT systems. In real also, whenever we have to audit, okay, whenever we have to understand the IT systems, what we do is we prepare a flow chart. Okay. Now this is the flow chart which basically talks about one thing is your billing systems, second is your ERP, and third is your cash application. So this is kind of recording the invoices and cash received and everything. Simple processes there where you have the IT involved. Now what I do is first I understand the transaction that each morning billing due request is being generated. That request goes to the ERP. Okay. ERP from the database over here. Okay. From the database over here provides the list to the required billing system. Okay. Then billing system actually prepares the invoices and does the reconciliations, and then accordingly billing system works. Whenever there's a cash application, so emails received or anything, for the cash payment, remittance received, that information is transferred to the ERP. ERP accordingly, processes that particular payments. And then ERP updates in the billing also. So this enterprise database will update in the billing, plus when it gets the data, it will update on the relevant areas also. Okay. So first I can say, yeah, there is a ERP system with the ERP database involved. Then I would say, okay, there is a billing system which has all these areas, all these steps. Third, I have a cash application system which have all these things. Now, if I have to talk about, okay, I understood the transaction flow, from where it happens, from where it goes, and like that way. I understood the transaction flow. I identified the significant systems. Let's say this is the one significant system. ERP data, enterprise database. If I don't have a database, I'm gone. Okay. Now, what I will do is I'll identify the controls. If I have to identify the controls, let's say, for example, this record totals could be an automated control. Reconciling totals could be an automated control. Compare totals could be an automated control. Here, compare totals could be a manual control also. So once I identify controls, I need to understand whether these are automated or manual controls. And then I need to understand what technology is used, because at the end, this ERP, what is a version? SAP, Oracle, S4HANA, whatever it is. What is the version of this cash application? Is it part of the same ERP with a different module, or it's a different application? Again, with the billing, same ERP part or different ERP, different something. So I need to identify the technology plus how the data, you see this particular point over here. This point from where data crosses one system to another. Again, this point from where data crosses from one system to another. These are known as interconnections. Now, this is very important to understand, because this is something gives you a good understanding how the data flows from one system to another. What is the data that is flowing? Whether the appropriate data, complete data is flowing or not. So these are the key areas that an auditor has to understand when he is understanding the IT environment. Okay. And at the end, you need to understand complexity of the whole IT environment. This is for the one process. There could be multiple processes. There could be multiple things involved in an organization. So how complex an IT environment is. Clear? Any doubt?
Clear, sir.
Okay. Okay. So let's take one question first. Easy question, MCQ, and then we'll proceed further so that you guys can have a clarity. Okay. The question is, CA Rajveer is conducting an audit of a manufacturing company. To streamline the audit process, he used a sampling tool to select a representative samples of the transaction from large data set of sales record. He also employs a bot to cross-check the company's compliance with the statutory payment like GST and TDS. While reviewing the financial statement, Rajveer relies on the Excel automated calculations such as various analysis and trend reports, ensuring that the audit is complete on time and meets the regulatory requirement. Which type of audit is being described above?
Auditing digitally.
Anyone with a different answer? Anyone with a different answer? Or let's say, for example, anyone with the digital auditing? Anyone? No? Yes. Okay. So basically, over here, as you said, yes, it's correct. It is auditing digitally because we are using the IT tools and technologies to do the audit so that audit could become more efficient. Okay. So that was one good question on the auditing digitally or digital audit. We understood the IT environment. Now, very important part that we need to understand is that, yes. Okay. Before we proceed to the next topic and very important part, let's take one more question. Okay, very good question, so that we would have a good clarity. MNC Limited is engaged in manufacturing and sale of FMCG product. It has manufacturing locations across various states in India and engages the dealer channels to sell its product. One dealer is appointed for each district within the state and products are dispatched from the nearest manufacturing location to the dealer. Considering the voluminous transaction, MNC Limited has a robust ERP network for recording the transaction. As statutory auditors of MNC Limited, your firm is about to commence a current year audit. The audit team includes certain IT experts and discussions are underway amongst the team members. As an IT manager of the engagement team, explain the key areas for an auditor to understand the IT environment. Quickly, I'll give you a minute. Answer this. What are the key areas to understand the IT environment? Come on, guys. What are the key areas to understand the IT environment? And this question could be of 5 marks in your exam. Let's say, suppose this question is in your exam. How will you answer?
Sir, firstly, we need to understand the flow of transaction, how the flow is happening, and is there any manual and automated control is there in the IT environment, and also what technology used, which environment they are working, and also we will see what is a significant transaction is involved. All these things we have to check, sir.
Very good. Yes. Very good. What else? Anything additional? Anyone additional? Any additional things?
How the transactions are flowing from the dealer to, from the company to the dealer.
Very good. Yes.
And they are being recorded.
Yep. Okay. So I have also prepared, like the answer is very much correct. You guys have given correct answers. So these are the points that we just now discussed. Okay. Understand the flow, understand the significant systems, identification of manual and automated controls, identification of the technologies used, and the assessing the complex IT environment. I also have some quick revision notes for you guys. See, when you have to, if you have to, quickly revise like about this particular topic, understanding the IT environment. So you can just remember SCATC. That is significant IT systems, controls, application and flow of transaction, technologies and complexities. So SCATC will help you remember understanding the IT environment. Clear?
Yes, sir. Clear, sir. Thanks for that.
Yeah. Okay. So that was understanding the IT environment, very good part. Okay. Now, next, we are going to look into one important topic. That is the IT risk and IT dependencies. Okay. What is IT risk and what is IT dependencies, and how to identify these IT risks? See, whenever there is a technology involved, there is a something, these technologies and systems are involved, there is always going to be a technology risk involved. Okay. With the technology, there will be technological risk involved always. That is for sure. So, whenever this type of technology is involved, you need to understand what are the risks that we are looking at. What is the risk that could be there in this particular IT systems? Can anyone give me some examples of the risk in the IT system? Risk arising from the use of IT systems.
Sir, unauthorized access, because if any one password is stolen by somebody else, and if they go and verify the unauthorized access, they can retrieve any data and they can modify it and they can use it for their business. See, sometimes the unauthorized changes also will happen, and mostly the data lost and the data corruption, like malware and SMSing, phishing, all these things will happen, sir. Data loss and data corruption. If the system is downtime is happening, what will be if the system is not working, system is corrupted, we cannot use the system.
Correct. Yes, absolutely correct. So let's understand this particular part with a question. Okay. CA Priya has been appointed as the statutory auditor of SecurePay Solutions, a financial technology company that operates a large-scale digital payment gateway. The company entire operations, from the transaction processing and settlement to the customer data management and financial reporting, are deeply embedded in complex and interconnected IT systems. During the initial audit planning meeting, CA Priya explains to her team that the technology-driven company like SecurePay, the traditional audit approach needs to be augmented with a strong focus on the IT-related risk. Okay, you need to change the audit focus because now there's an IT-related risk involved. She points out that the single vulnerability could lead to significant financial misstatement, data loss, unauthorized transactions. To conduct an effective audit, the audit team must first systematically identify the potential risk that arises from the heavy reliance on the IT systems. As an engagement partner, you need to provide the foundational understanding of these risks to your team. In the context of the above situation, describe the key risk arising from the use of information technology system that an auditor needs to consider during the audit. So let's say now we are doing the digital audit. We have to audit the systems. Again, when I say audit, it is risk-based audit. Always it will be risk-based audit. I need to first identify what are the risks. So when you said unauthorized access, data loss, anything else, any other IT risk that you see in this particular picture. Anyone? Other IT risk. What could be the other IT risk involved here?
Sir, first we need to check the unauthorized access. Is there anything? And unauthorized changes.
Unauthorized access, yeah.
And
Unauthorized change.
if the backup is not done, then if the downtime is there, we cannot work on it.
backup missing, downtime,
downtime, data
yes,
loss, data corruption,
data
and
loss.
also the risk is that if our team is not adequately trained,
Yeah,
they cannot able to work on the IT environment.
correct, absolutely. So trained skill, trained
Train,
people or team.
yeah, training cost.
Yes.
If
Any
if
other?
if,
Yeah.
if intermediately any changes on the IT environment, if the audit team does not know what is the changes behind, they will believe that everything is fine. That
So,
risk of not knowing the relevant update.
okay. Yeah, okay. So again, that will part of the training. Yes, very good. Any other risk anyone else sees in this particular scenario? Any other risk? Okay. So, yes, correctly said. These are the risks. For example, 4.2 will answer this particular question. Risk arising from the use of IT technology. That is unauthorized access. Okay. Then gaining access privilege, super user rights, unauthorized changes to the IT systems. Failure to update IT systems is also an issue. Okay. Because with the change in time, change in technology, you have to keep updating your systems. You cannot use Windows 98 in now, in current times. It will not support, or rather, it will have a very big issue. Inappropriate manual interventions. If someone is manually interventing the process, is doing some changes, is doing some different thing, problem. Data loss, data corruption, risk of system downtime, system integration and system compatibility. That means, let's say, for example, as I told you, interconnection. Okay, what if these two systems are not, compatible? That means the data in the format which is coming from the ERP billing is not able to understand, or half of the time billing system misses the information that ERP system provides. So there is a compatibility also involved in this. Okay, compatibility is also involved in this. Then you need to understand what are the IT risk of regulatory compliance. Very important part. Now we have the IT Act involved. Okay.
Information Technology Act
Yeah.
2000.
And we have a DPDP Act. Okay. If we are dealing in the personal data, digital personal data, we also have a DPDPF of 2023, IT Act of 2000. So these are the act legal regulatory compliances already in picture. There are certain compliances which are already provided by the certain. There are compliances which are already there under the Companies Act. If it is a SEBI registered entity, then SEBI regulations also provides the compliances with the cybersecurity framework. So SEBI has a cybersecurity framework. So there are lot many regulatory compliances which are already there in the place, which we have to check whether those are applicable or not. Even with the RBI has a cybersecurity, its own cybersecurity framework. So it's it's a RBI regulated entity, then the RBI cybersecurity framework will be applicable and compliances will be applicable. So accordingly, you need to understand what are the IT regulatory risk also. So these are the very important risks that could arise from the IT systems, and that auditor doing audit of the IT system should be aware of. Any doubt?
Clear, sir.
So for your quick understanding, I have done some short prepared notes for this particular one. Key systems arising from using IT. That means you fail. That is unauthorized access, failure to update, access privilege, inappropriate manual intervention, loss of data. Plus, you can say IT regulatory risk, IRT.
Super,
IT
sir. Thank
regulatory
you.
risk. Yeah. You fail in IRT, are the key risks from the using the IT. Clear?
Okay, sir. You means entity, audit.
Yeah. Okay. So that was with respect to risk arising from use of IT. Now we will understand about the cyber risk. Can anyone tell me what is a cyber risk? What do you mean by cyber risk?
Cyber risk means the unauthorized access, mainly unauthorized access to gain the data from the entity, and also hacking the data and threatening the entity, and using the technology like ransomware, SMSing, phishing, all these things, and um, internet proofing, like
Yeah.
email proofing, like that.
Yep. Absolutely correct. So when I talk about cyber risk, in a nutshell, the risk of having a cyber attack. If I talk about the cyber risk, this is nothing but the risk of having a cyber attack. That is a cyber risk. Okay. So through a cyber attack, if the data is damaged, steal, exposed, altered, disabled, destroyed, it's a cyber attack. It's a cyber risk. Okay. Now there are multiple type of cyber attacks or multiple type of things can happen. Malware, DDoS, okay, denial of service and DOS, denial of service attack, phishing, spoofing, insider threats within insiding, DNS tunneling, IoT based attacks. So there are multiple type of cyber attacks. Simple example, if I talk about DOS, I am not sure how many of you have seen DOS attack, but DOS attack is when, let's say, for example, you are trying to access a particular system, let's say a particular website. See, the server, okay, what the server does is, let's say someone goes to the server, okay, give me this website. I am going on www.google.com. Okay, I will place a request to the server. Server will give me the website. Now, server has a capacity that he can serve to these many people at a time. You go into a restaurant, you have the waiter serving the things. You ask the waiter, give me this particular dish. Okay, so it has a capacity, or the restaurant has a capacity. He can provide the food at maximum to a number of people who are sitting in the restaurant. Okay, if let's say, for example, the restaurant sitting capacity is 45, tomorrow 100 people barge in the restaurant and say, okay, I want to place an order, I want to place an order. There will be a delay. Yes or no? Restaurant will not be able to supply on time. Okay. So that is DOS. That when people purposefully, try to block the server by putting multiple requests so that the genuine user does not get the data and server becomes busy. Because fake requests are being done on the server. That is a denial of service attack. So when DOS happens, you can't access your systems, you can't access your websites because someone else is keeping the server busy. Phishing, spoofing, insider threats, DNS tunneling, a lot of like cyber attacks are there. Okay. Same way when I talk about malware, it has ransomwares, it has fileless malwares, trojans, mobile malwares, okay, spear phishing, a lot of things are there. So these are some of the common type of cyber attacks. And with these cyber attacks, if there is a chance of cyber attack, that becomes for me a cyber risk. Okay. Now, with the cyber attack and cyber risk, an important thing comes into the picture. That is, you have to manage that cyber risk. Okay. Now, if we have a cyber risk, we have to manage, assess the cyber risk. We cannot leave cyber risk open. Okay, when the attack will happen, I'll see at that time. No, it can't be done in that way. So, as a result, we have to look for these, what are the cyber risk involved? What are the, strategies we can follow for the cyber risk? And we need to understand how these risks can be managed effectively. Yes or no? Okay. So, we will understand how to manage cyber risk with the help of a question. The question is, ABC Bank recently faced a cyber attack where hackers attempted to steal customer data. This raised concern about the cybersecurity measures. Regulators now require financial institutions to assess their cyber risk management and improve their defenses against threat. To handle cyber risk effectively, it is important to understand its key stages. Elucidate the stages of the cyber risk that an organization should focus upon. So tell me which are the stages of the cyber risk that an organization should focus upon. How do you manage this cyber risk?
Sir, firstly, we need to assess the cyber risk. What is the assessment? Where and all we need to assess where it is affected, from where it is, just which area is affected, and what are the data is assessed. Then we need to impact it. What is the impact on it? Whether the impact is huge or less, or whether any critical data is affected, or any financial information is stolen. What is the main impact? Then we need to manage that cyber risk. Cyber risk, we need to manage that understanding of the particular cyber attack, from where it is coming, and what threat is creating. Is somebody money or something else? Whether it's data is fully corrupted, and whether can we recreate all the data lost, how we are going to manage, and all this. Yeah, if the creation cost is more, then giving them some money to others, we can give the money to them to restore the data. Like that, we need to manage how we are going to manage all these things. We need to understand, sir.
Absolutely correct. Yes. So you need to aim the cyber risk. So if I talk about stages of cyber risk management or cyber risk, understanding, you have to aim cyber risk. Okay. Remember that aim for the cyber risk are the stages to manage the cyber risk. Okay. Now, what is the aim? You have to aim for it. That is assessing, impact analysis, and managing. Okay. Aim the cyber risk, you will get your answer. That is, you have to assess the cyber risk. Everyone should come on point number 5.2 on page 12.20. You will the answer of the question. Okay, the stages involved. First, you need to assess the cyber risk. Now, how to assess? I will understand, okay, what type of cyber risk it is. Ransomware, malware, denial of service attack. What is the basically type of cyber risk it is? Whether it is a critical cyber risk or not. See, sometimes your cyber risk might not be that much great from a particular type of attack. For example, denial of service. Denial of service can only happen when the systems are open to public. But if the public cannot access the system, it is internal systems. DDoS is not a big deal for me. Again, IoT. If I do not deal in IoT, okay, Internet of Things, yes, IoT based attacks are not relevant for me accordingly. Okay.
Sir, when the DOS attack is happened, say example, the false request in order many, which will disturb the business operation. See, in case of some Swiggy, say example Swiggy, they majorly depend on the orders from the outside. If they stop the order, then they cannot run the business, right?
Correct. So when any of the system is exposed to the public, yes, DOS can be a threat, can be a risk. But let's say, for example, I have a ERP system within the organization, which has no connection with any of the outside system. Like, the only thing is there that person has to manually upload the data, enter invoice and everything. In that case, I may not have a issue with that particular DOS attack, cyber risk for that particular system. That's why most of the organization adopt this multi-IT system approach. That okay, this particular system, cash application may have a public access, but these two systems will not have public access. So my DOS, okay, risk is only limited to this particular part, cash application. It will not impact my ERP and billing. So system wise, I have to assess the risk, not at the whole IT environment, but system wise, so that I can understand, okay, here I need to focus on DOS, but here DOS in billing and ERP, if they are not related, not connected to IT systems, fine. Another issue could be there in the billing and ERP. That is, I might not get the correct data. Unauthorized access. Yes, that could be there. If the cash applications is not working, I may not have the data. I may not have, or through cash applications, someone might get the unauthorized access. Something like that. Data loss. If cash application is not working, data loss could be there. Yes, that risk is there. So I need to assess the risk based on the type of IT systems. Okay, so that is the first part, which is assessing the cyber risk. The first part of your aim is your assessing the cyber risk. You have to assess what kind of cyber risk it is. Second, you need to do the impact analysis. Impact of the cyber risk. See, when I talk about the impact of the cyber risk, it could be higher, it could be lower, depending upon what application it is. For example, as you said, e-commerce operator, I'm getting my orders through that particular system. If the system down, my business is down. Big impact. Let's say it was an ERP system where I do the accounting, where I maintain the books. System is down. But that will not, if the ERP is down, I agree there would be problems. I have to, record everything manually till the time I get back my ERP. But will it stop my business? Answer is no. Okay. So, I need to understand, why and where my cyber, risk is there. For example, there was a good shipping company where there was a cyber attack. Now, because of that, they lost all their shipping data. Like if, for example, they have, couriers, parcels, shipments in journey, in, outside somewhere. They lost all the data, whose shipment it is, whose parcel is where. So they lost a lot of things. Their operations were disrupted, and it was estimated that 300 million US dollars was the impact. Okay, so you need to understand the business interruptions and the impact. Then not only that, regulatory cost. Let's say tomorrow bank messes up with the customer data, credit card numbers, bank account details and everything. It is gone outside. Or let's say bank is not operative, payments are stopped for 2 full days. There will be a regulatory cost involved.
Then if the GST is not paid, then a penalty will happen.
Yes.
Yeah. TDS is not deducted. The TDS we need to pay the penalty, interest.
Correct. Absolutely. So regulatory cost involved, data loss, reputational loss. You will never even, then they might get a reputational loss also. Ransomware, another kind of issue. Like for example, if there is a ransomware attack, systems are encrypted, you are gone. Okay. IP, intellectual property, because sometimes, these attacks happen to get the IT, for example, system codes or system, whole coding database or the backend code. Okay, so IT theft is also there. So you need to assess the impact. Sometimes, there are companies who are involved into government contracts. They have a confidential government information. For example, let's say a company is preparing, some defense equipment for the government. Now there was there was a cyber attack. All the government related information, like what systems they were preparing, what defense equipment they were preparing, what are the advantages and loopholes in defense system, everything is gone. So there is a very big issue in that. Breach of privacy, fines and penalties, a lot of things are there. You need to assess the impact of the cyber risk. What is the impact? And then accordingly manage. If I talk about manage means implement these controls for that. For example, cyber security controls. For example, firewalls. Okay, defending these systems from unauthorized accesses. So you need to manage the cyber risk either by employing the controls plus placing the cyber security at the top. Okay, or else what you can do, the understand the accepted risk and document the compensating control. Understand the accepted risk. That means cannot do anything. The risk is there because of the system. System does not support cyber security. I have to accept the risk. And accordingly, I will document compensating control. For example, there is a ERP. ERP cannot have the cyber security because it's outdated. What is the compensating control? I will continuous backups, mirror backups. If, for example, if the ERP goes down, there is another ERP running. I will directly switch into that. There is a backup available. I'll directly switch into that. So understanding accepted risk and documenting that. That is a part of the managing risk. Clear? So if you need to answer stages of cyber risk, aim for it. Any doubts?
No, sir. Clear, sir.
Okay. So that was your assessing the cyber risk, as impact analysis of the cyber risk, and managing the cyber risk. Once you are, done with the cyber risk assessment, impact analysis, and the management, an organization, see, this is when you have the cyber risk as an auditor or as a company, you do that. But this is the not only thing that one should do. So assessing, impact analysis, managing is the only thing we should do? Answer is no. There is a bunch of things that we need to do. And that bunch of things is known as a cybersecurity framework. So you need to, as organization has to, keep a cybersecurity framework in the place, which is beyond aim. It includes your aim also, but it is beyond aim. Okay. Aim is only about cyber risk. But what if the cyber risk happens actually? Cyber attack happens. What you will do in that particular scenario? So risk analysis plus how to deal with the actual situation is a cybersecurity framework. Yes, you are having some questions?
Sir, this is stages of cyber risk is after the cyber risk attack. Then what is the stages, right?
No, see, cyber risk, basically stages of cyber risk, when I talk about this particular part, is understanding the IT environment. See, whenever I am doing a digital audit, I need to understand what are the risks involved in the IT systems. And one such risk is the cyber risk. Okay. How to assess the cyber risk? The way, let's say, for example, if I say there is a risk in the sales, revenue recognition. So there is a risk of fraud in the revenue recognition. Okay. How do I assess that? What is the type of risk? What is the impact involved? Magnitude, likelihood. Remember that? And what controls are placed to mitigate that particular risk. Similarly, we are applying the concept in your cyber risk.
Okay, sir. This is like how the evaluation done for internal control. The same way we are assessing the risk. What is stages?
Yes. So
Okay,
first
sir.
I understand what type of risk it is, impact analysis, likelihood, magnitude, and managing the risk. Whether there are any compensatory control, mitigating controls, what are the controls, or I accept the controls, I'll place the role low reliance on the cyber systems. But this is not only done by the auditors, this is also done by the entities.
Okay, sir.
Now, when I talk about cyber security framework, risk assessment is a small part of it. Cybersecurity framework goes beyond the risk assessment. Responding to the risk, whenever there is a cyber attack, how to respond that. Whenever there is a cyber attack, what to do. So cybersecurity framework is beyond your cyber risk. It includes the cyber risk also, but it also includes other things.
Cyber risk is a substance of the cyber security framework.
Yes, absolutely correct. Very good. Yes. So accordingly, that cyber security framework is there. Now, again, like when I talk about cyber security framework, okay, what it includes, what it has in it, we'll quickly go through that. So under cyber security framework, you first identify what is the risk involved. Identification of risk is there. Because as I said, risk identification or risk analysis is the one part of the cybersecurity framework. So you will see this particular path, assessing the risk or identification of the risk is there. Periodic risk assessment and developing management strategy is part of that. Then protect the risk. Like once you have the risk identified, place the controls, block the risk from happening. Unauthorized access, data security, cyber controls, involve that. You have to protect the risk from happening. And if by chance, even after protection, the risk happens because there is an inherent limitation. You cannot have 100% security. You have to detect the risk. Timely detection of the incidents. It shouldn't happen that, okay, there was a cyber attack 2 years ago. Now we are coming to, know that there was a cyber attack 2 years ago. That shouldn't happen. So timely detection of the cyber risk is very important. Then you have to respond. Let's say, for example, there is a big data breach. Timely detected, identified, we identified the systems also. Now what? We have to respond. We have to, do something about that. Like, for example, if there's a data breach, understanding what was the data that was, which was involved in the breach. Is my systems down? Is my business down? Do I need a backup system? Is the data loss involved? Data loss is there, or I do have a data. Sometimes in cyber attack, there is a data breach, like, unauthorized access, but still you have the data. So there is a no data loss. The problem arises when you have a data loss also. You don't have a data. So at that time, do I have a backup? Hot site, cold site. Remember, we studied something like that in your inter also you might have studied about. So those all things are there involved. Okay, regulatory cost, remediation cost. Let's say, for example, my ERP down. So having another ERP up and running, what is the cost involved? So responding to that particular risk and recovering, making business back online, making business back running. So what is the procedures that an IT organization or an IT department of an organization has to follow to bring back business online as it was? status quo, to bring the status quo, what they should do. That is a recovering from the risk. Okay, that is your whole risk management process. Identify, protect, detect, respond, and recover. Clear? Very important. I hope now you understand what is the difference between the stages of the cyber risk and the cyber security framework. Do not mix both of them. They are different. Clear? Any doubt with respect to any of the part?
Clear, sir.
Okay. Now, see, when we are talking about cyber risk and cyber security framework, we need to understand, okay, with respect to the cyber security framework, that whenever there is a requirement of the cyber, as I said, before only, like RBI has its own cyber security framework. SEBI has its own cyber security framework. So these components will be there. Components will be as it is. But there will be some additional details in those cyber security frameworks, which will help the either SEBI regulated entities, RBI regulated entities to implement a robust cyber security framework. I have some short notes for you to quickly remember the cyber security frameworks stages. That is IPDRR. Okay. I will protect, detect, respond, and recover. That is IPDRR. They identify, protect, detect, respond, and recover. So quickly, how to quick remember your cyber security framework stage parts. Clear?
Clear, sir. Thanks for IPDRR.
Thank you. Okay. So that was about the cyber security framework. Now, we will see some controls, okay, which are necessary. We will take a question basically and understand about the controls that are necessary. Again, these controls could be there with respect to one of the area. So, this is part of your cybersecurity framework basically, to have some controls around it. Okay. So let's understand the controls behind the cyber risk and how we can place the controls with a one question. Focus Limited is a manufacturing company that is planning to implement a new digital system to streamline its production processes and improve efficiency. The company appointed Mr. Raman as an IT manager. However, he is aware that merging technologies can bring significant benefit but also poses various risks to the organization. In this context, he needs to identify examples of the technology risk associated with the implementation of the new digital system and the controls consideration necessary to mitigate this risk effectively. So there are two things to ask. One is the examples of the technological risk associated with the implementation of the new digital system. And second, controls consideration necessary to mitigate these risks effectively. So what are the risks with respect to the digital systems? We have already seen quickly. What are the risks with respect to the digital systems, guys? We have already seen.
So risk will be DOS attack. DOS attack will be happen. They will give the false request. Then the malware, malicious attack.
Okay. What else?
Insider threat. Sometimes the employee and organization itself, they can unauthorized access also will be there. Unauthorized changes.
Yes, absolutely correct. Any other risk that you think? Anyone else? No?
Yeah, corruption, sir.
Yes, data corruption. Okay. What else?
Then the regulatory risk.
Yes.
Then the data integration from one system to another system, the integration if fails, then the problem. Then failure to update the necessary changes in the system.
Yes, very good. Absolutely correct. And what controls should be considered to mitigate these risks?
Control, first we need to protect the unauthorized access. Delegation of authority need to be fixed.
Yes.
And proper backup should be taken.
Yes, very good.
And we need to give the training for the employees. What are the things to be done? What are the things not to be done?
Yep. Yes. So let us see the answer over here. So let's talk about some technological risk. Now, when I talk about technological risk, it is something we have already discussed earlier also in earlier question. Unauthorized access, inaccurately processing data, okay, unauthorized gains to the system privileges, like yeah, remember super user access, unauthorized data changes in the master file, unauthorized change to the system and programs, failure to make necessary and appropriate changes to the system, failure to update the system, inappropriate manual intervention, potential loss of data, risk introduced when using third-party services, cybersecurity risk. So these are certain risks which are associated with the IT systems. And this is the technological risk. Okay. Now, talking about some controls consideration. Now we are talking about the considerations to mitigate the risk. Okay. So first of all, when we are talking about the control consideration, we need to understand what is the technological IT environment involved here. Before suggesting any control, we have to understand the IT environment. Then only you can suggest some controls. You can look for the mitigating controls. You need to consider the risk resulting from these systems with respect to the legacy systems or traditional systems. For example, see, a new system is there, perfectly fine, it will have a risk. What about the risk of already old systems? You need to also consider the risk from the old systems before suggesting any controls. You need to understand what are the new technologies involved. What will be the new technologies which could be placed to mitigate the risk. You need to understand the impact of those technologies. Digital upskilling is required or not, specialist is required or not, or special skills are not required or not. These are some considerations that you need to have. And see, in question, what was asked is, okay, what is asked is that the control considerations, if you see, it is saying that control considerations necessary to mitigate these risks effectively. It is not asked about the examples of the control. It is not asked they suggest some controls. No, they are asking the considerations that is there. So you need to also look from the point of view like what is asked in the question. That is very important. Yes, we understood examples of the technology risk. Good. You gave the examples of the technology risk. Is it asked the examples of the controls to mitigate the risk? No. It is asked that control considerations. So what are the things you will consider necessary to mitigate the risk before implementing new digital system? Implementing new digital system.
Consideration means that the prerequisite before the audit.
Not prerequisite, kind of important points that you need to consider before implementing new system or a control in the place.
You mean understanding the IT environment?
Yes. Yes, absolutely correct. Understanding the IT environment. See, over here. If I talk about, this is what written. Yeah. You understand the changes in IT environment. You understand the results resulting from the new technologies plus traditional and legacy use. Understand the need for digital upscaling and impact of new technologies, including design, implementation, effectiveness of the controls. Yes or no? Clear with this?
Okay, sir.
Yes.
So, yeah. So whenever you answer a question, always focus what is asked. If you write the examples of the control, it is wrong because that is not asked. And also you need to see, like, if this question is of 5 marks, you need to write answer accordingly. You have to write at least 5 points to the question. But that doesn't make that you write, going on, and you end up, just spending 1 hour on behind one question. That is not the correct way to answer
Okay,
the
sir.
question.
Okay, sir. This question is asked that they are planning to implement the new digital system.
Yeah.
Then from old to new, what are the implications we need to check, consideration?
Yep.
Okay.
Any further doubts with respect to this one? Any doubt, guys? No? Okay. If no further doubts, let's take a quick 10-minute break. After the break, we'll gather back and continue the session. We will continue with more questions. Okay. We'll quickly take 5 minutes break and then we'll continue back.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. and we will start with one more question. Okay,
Okay.
again,
Okay, sir.
important question. TP Limited is a medium-sized company involved in manufacturing and retailing of home appliances to cater the daily needs of a wide range of consumers. The company has in place proper cyber security policies, procedures, frameworks. Regular assessment of the same is also carried out by the management. The company faced a cyber attack incident of email phishing scam, which resulted in inappropriate disbursals to various individuals posing as vendors, caused a substantial financial loss. This incident highlighted the need for a strong and updated internal controls to mitigate the cyber risk. As a statutory auditor of the company, how will you evaluate the controls around the vendor setup and modification? So here we will talk about vendor setup and modifications and the controls, okay, to mitigate the risk around it. Again, you need to focus on that there is a need for strong and updated internal controls to mitigate the cyber risk. Remember that your answer should be in connection with this cyber risk around the vendor setup and modification controls. So what are the controls do you suggest?
Sir, vendor master creation should be with the separate department, should be allocated. If any changes in the vendor's master, the allocation, the delegation of authority should be given for that access. The person who is creating the vendor master should not update the email or the bank account information to under the credit term what we fixed. All these things, it should be lights with a different person. They should protect with that.
Okay.
Also, the system, the how they are authenticating the maker checker concept should be there. Who is initiating the request and who is approving the request, and the audit trail also should be there. Audit trail, how the who done the changes and how is authorized, who deleted, who modified, and the relevant backup also we need to process on our hand. Whether all these controls are there, particularly they are talking about the email and the financial statement. This is particular things, the issue that the email, who is updating the email whenever there is a changes. If they mistakenly updating so many emails in the particular vendor, obviously it will trigger to so many recipient of the email. So we need to check all this control behind who update and who corrected, who changed, who modified. We need to check all these controls is there or not. We need to evaluate on this, sir.
Okay, very good. Anyone else with anything else to add to this further? Anyone? No? Okay. Understand now. See, again, we will go and understand the question once again, because it is very important to write what is asked. Very important. What is asked over here? I'll break it out. As a statutory auditor, means you are the statutory auditor, you have to assume that role, okay, of the company. How will you evaluate the controls around the vendor setup modification? So vendor setup modification basically is the area that they are talking about, okay, and how will you evaluate the controls? So you have to evaluate the controls. Now some students may write the answers or answer over here as the types or example of controls around vendor setup and modification. Okay, they will write an answer, the type or examples of the control around vendor setup and modification. That is absolutely wrong. If you do that, that's wrong, because It is not asked that you need to give the examples of controls. It is asked that how would you evaluate the controls. So I ask that question again. If you have to evaluate a control, let's forget vendor setup and modification. Forget vendor setup. Forget cyber risk. If I ask you how to evaluate the controls, how will you evaluate? What would be your answer?
Understand the business environment, IT environment.
Okay. Then what else you would do to understand the control, to evaluate the control? Come on, guys. How do you evaluate the control? See, when I have to evaluate the control, there are two things I do. In any case, if I have to evaluate the control, I have to do the design effectiveness and operating effectiveness. Yes or no? DE, OE, that is general. For the general controls, that is there. Okay. I check the design and operative effectiveness of the control as a statutory auditor to evaluate the controls. Now, if I have to if I have to answer from the vendor setup modification, I will talk something about how the controls are designed, how the controls are operating, vendor setup controls are operating. Yes or no? I will talk about more on to the design and effect operating part of the controls. Let's say, for example, if I talk about design, like how the control is designed, who is making changes, whether the process is centralized or decentralized, where the process is happening. Second, when the changes happen, like who makes the changes, is there any approval system in the place or not? Okay. What are the systems involved, IT systems involved in the particular, this vendor setup and modification? Is there any authentication involved? So all these things I will write when I have to write about the design and operative effectiveness from the vendor setup point of view, because at the end it is about the vendor setup and modification. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So answer for this particular question is also given on the page 5.4, point number 5.4, page number 12.26 of your study material. If you see, it is the same thing. Okay. It is this part is your answer. That is, who is responsible for making changes to the vendor master data? Communication channels, like who, how do you communicate the changes? Technology and system used, authentication, approval, maker checker concept. I have to write about that rather than giving an example of the vendor controls. You need see when it is about the evaluation of the controls, it should be you will be asking the questions: who, what, when, where, how. These are the questions you ask for the evaluation rather than giving an example. Okay, there should be a control around that one should post the vendor modification, another should accept the vendor modification approval. It should be proper. Like, don't give the examples. Tell how you will evaluate. So that is something you need to write your answer. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Any doubt with this? So see, that's why it becomes important to read the question and answer accordingly. The way you frame the sentence, I can frame this sentence basically here like, okay, there should be a vendor master control. There should be a control to safeguard the vendor master. Fine. Perfectly fine. There should be a control. Is it your role? Is it the question about what control should be there? Or is it the question about how to evaluate? How to evaluate? To evaluate, you will ask questions to the company, to the persons over there, and you need to write about those questions.
We need to make the answer in the questionable format rather than answering to the question.
See, that's the thing which is asked, like how do you evaluate? You cannot evaluate without asking the question. That is for sure. As an auditor, you can only evaluate anything once you ask the questions, once you gather the information, then only you can evaluate. Otherwise, you cannot evaluate. Remember that always. Any doubt? That's where most of students lose marks. And number two, always focus upon like the marks it is carrying. Accordingly, you have to answer. Okay. Now, let's say this was one of the area for the vendor setup and vendor modification. If I talk about, let's say, some other area, electronic fund transfer. Same question. I'm just changing the area. That's it. Nothing further. I'm just changing the area from the vendor management, vendor setup and modification. Now let's say this is electronic fund transfer. How do you answer this question? How will you answer?
So I will ask the questions. Whether that authentication is wire transfer is approved to initiate, or what system they are initiating the wire transfer or electronic fund transfer.
Very good.
And what are the delegation of authorities given for who is initiator, who is approver, who is a releaser.
Very good.
Are there any system all of whether the initiated payment or gone or reached to the recipient? What is the ensuring control on that?
Yes.
Are there any mechanism to inform the payment? So, okay, we have raised the payment. Confirm whether the payment is received or not.
Yes. Good. Very good. Absolutely correct. Absolutely. Now you are giving the correct answer the way it is required because the question is like that way. So, see, controls around electronic fund transfer. If I talk about the controls around electronic fund transfer, if as an auditor I have to evaluate this electronic fund transfer control, then I will ask the questions. Okay, who are the person responsible for wire transfer? Who initiates it? Okay, how do you ensure that it's not a phishing scam? What are the authentication protocols? Approver, maker, checker. What are the systems and technologies are used to initiate, authorize the release of wire transfers? Okay, so these are the questions I will ask to evaluate the controls around electronic fund transfer. Clear?
Okay, sir. Now clear, sir.
Yeah, very good. Okay, so that was about cyber risk. That was about cyber security framework. There are some additional questions. There is one more additional question that I want to take. Very important question. Okay. So, Sukanya, a CA final student, is of the view that the cyber risk are issues of IT and result in only information lost to an entity. She feels that the many cyber attacks are not directly targeted at financial systems and do not pose a risk of material misstatement to the financial statements of an entity. Is her view proper? Now, let's say this is for 5 marks. Answer this particular question. what you will write in the answer.
Sir, her view is incorrect because the financial system is dependent on many other system also. Integration is there.
Okay. Okay. But if I ask you what you will write over here, an answer, you have 5 marks question. What in 5 marks you will write?
Cyber risk will lead to that unauthorized access.
Very good. Yes.
And loss of data, loss of information.
Yes.
And
Okay.
the regulatory issues.
Yes, very good. You are going correct.
And also that manual intervention.
Yeah. Now, yeah, very good. So basically, if I talk about, see, what is the question asked here? You need to understand that and accordingly answer. You have answered correctly. So to structure it more, okay, what is the question here? That cyber risk are the issues of IT, okay, and they do not directly are targeted at the financial system, and they do not pose risk of material misstatement to the financial system of an entity. Cyber attacks do not target financial system and do not pose a risk of material misstatement to financial end. Is our view proper? Our view is not proper. But to give an answer for the 5 marks, I need to evaluate this particular statement. Risk of material misstatement to the financial statement of an entity. With respect to cyber risk, I'm talking about this cyber risk of material misstatement to the cyber risk resulting in a risk of material misstatement to a financial statement of an entity. If I have to talk about, if I have to say, okay, her view is not proper, then in answer, I need to give the examples of cyber risk which can lead this, which can lead the risk of material misstatement. If I give in answer the examples of cyber risk which can prove that there is a risk of material misstatement to the financial statement of the entity, in that scenario, I have then and I could say that okay, her view is not proper. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So here I have to give examples with respect to the cyber risk. For example, okay, cyber risk can result in regulatory cost, data loss, business interruptions, intellectual property theft, incident cost, breach of privacy, fines, penalties, manipulate or modified financial records, modified automated controls. Okay, so these are some cyber risk. I'm giving the example of risk. Okay, these are some examples of risk that could result, that could impact the entity's financial statement. For example, penalties and fine. Yes, that could result in misstatement, regulatory cost, data loss or reputational loss. They will impact the financial statement. Okay, so accordingly, here by giving the examples of the cyber risk or the impact on the financial statement, I can say her view is not proper. Clear with this?
Yes, sir.
So always understand what is asked in the question and then answer the question. Any doubt again? Any doubt?
No doubt, sir.
Okay, great.
It's clear.
Let's proceed further to a one more topic that I want to take, very important topic and very relevant one. That is the remote audit. This concept came in COVID, basically got elevated in COVID. But what is remote audit? Can anyone tell me in summary what is remote audit?
Auditor will not go to the client place. Instead of that, he will be sitting at their place and do the audit of the client from the remotely using the online mode and conduct the
Yes.
audit.
Yes, absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. Now, if I say, okay, you are doing audit remotely from client's place, okay, or sorry, from your place with respect to the client's data, you are doing audit remotely. What risk do you see in that?
What
What
risk?
challenges you see in that?
Timing with mismatchment. See, if you want to do sometime, the client may not be available for that time.
Yes, absolutely correct.
And
And what other risk and concerns you see in remote audit?
While visiting, we may observe several things of the, the conduct and all those things, which will be very difficult to observe from a remote place.
Absolutely correct. For example, inventory count. We cannot do remote audit for the inventory.
Audit verification like physical verification of assets cannot be performed.
Yes, absolutely correct.
Network issues.
Absolutely correct. Network issues could be there. Yes.
some sensitivity, say for the outline, say the internet access is given from the entity to the auditor. Say some of the critical access may not be provided. So the auditor may not be able to view the critical information involved in the transaction.
Absolutely correct. Now, going to the other side, what are the advantages you see?
Definitely cost and the time will be saved, sir.
Yes.
And the auditor will sit comfortably and do the work on their flexibility.
Any other examples of advantages you see with respect to having remote audit?
See, nowadays our ICAI has set up that network planning for outside overseas auditors also can be played role. The setup new framework they develop. Considering that we can use that wider auditor instead of the local auditor, we can choose the other border countries also. We can use the auditor.
Okay. Anyone else?
Direct access of data from the system itself.
Directly access of the data from the system itself. Yes. Okay. See, why I'm asking the advantages and disadvantages is because with the help of that, you will be able to understand the remote audit. Okay. So the same is also given on your page number 12.28, very important part. Okay. Disadvantages and disadvantages of remote audit. Now, when I talk about remote audit, again, everyone knows you audit sitting here somewhere else. Cost and time effective, very good. Like for example, if there is a plant somewhere in the outskirts of the, let's say, northern India or very far in the north or somewhere in even other countries, I don't have to travel. I can sit here, I can do audit, traveling time, being there, everything is saved. So it's a cost effective because traveling cost, traveling time, it's saved. Immediately you can start the audit from very next day. So cost effective. Comfortable, flexible because you are doing from your home. So you are comfortable. Okay. Every team member is doing from their home. Time required to gather evidence is very less. You just call, just let the person know what you need. The person will send the data. Done. Matter over. Otherwise, earlier we have to go to the plant, get the documents, scan the documents, bring the documents back. A lot of time was involved. If you have the access to the system, directly get the data, first-hand evidence. Okay. Plus, being an auditor, like auditor in one state or a country, you can audit any entity in any other state. So you are expanding your reach. Disadvantages. Because it's a remote audit. Okay. Because it's a remote audit, network issues, interviews, meetings can be there. Okay. Number two, limited or no availability of the organization. That means that how the organization is functioning over there. Sometimes not, audit is not only about the documents. It's about the processes within the organization. It's about the, people in the organization, the culture that is being followed over there. Sometimes time zone. Let's say, for example, you are auditing a plant which is there in US or in any other country. There is a time zone difference of 12 hours. Becomes difficult to have the audit sessions, audit calls. Again, they send you the scanned documents. You don't have the hard copy documents. Scanned documents can be altered, can be modified. So no comfort over the, what you can say, authenticity of the evidence. Unless and until you pull out the transaction from the ERP, but still, there is a very big issue on the authenticity of the transactions or the documents that you are receiving. Again, for the sensitive information or for the sensitive systems, you might not be given access to. And, you lack or you have very less understanding of the culture on the ground. When I say culture on the ground, that means how the business is being run over there. Let's say, for example, till the time you don't visit a plant, you will never understand manufacturing process. So yeah, you can do a remote audit, but again, without visiting the plant, how you can audit the plant? Okay. So these are some advantages and disadvantages of the remote audit. So accordingly, we have to adopt the best suited strategy for the remote audit. Clear? Any doubt? Sorry.
Clear, sir.
Okay, let's understand the remote audit in more detail with an example of a question. CA Kabir, an auditor assigned to conduct a remote audit of Betal Limited. The audit will be conducted virtually using online platforms with the client sharing documents and participating in video conference. What key considerations should CA Kabir address to ensure the effectiveness of the security of the remote audit? Read the question and then try to answer. So what considerations should CA Kabir address to ensure the effectiveness and the security of the remote audit? Come on, guys. Very easy, not difficult. Pretty much easy. Trust me, it's pretty much easy, not that much difficult. So what considerations you look into when you plan for a remote audit? No considerations? We just do the audit. Okay. See, when it comes to the consideration, okay, with respect to the remote audit, again,
sir, we need to think that confidentiality, when you are sharing the data between the client and the auditor, it should be encrypted form. And also, if you are sending some file to them, it should be password protected so that they can use it. See, if the confidentiality and the data protection must be ensured, we need to think. Then we need to think for timing and planning. We need to check the client. We need to fix the timing for the audit so that any query is raised by us, they can able to clarify it. And particularly, what are the risk is involved, whether the risk is low or high based on that. And also need to check whether something is to be done on the physical verification. We have to go and do the physically verified some stock verification, physical test, all this to be done. We need to ensure what is the majority area is covered. Maybe 90% is remote audit, and maybe 10% maybe need to physically visit the client place. Then only we can able to do the audit.
Okay. Okay, very good. Yes.
We'll first select the team, right? People to conduct that remote audit. People who are well versed with those systems, who have the knowledge of the technology.
Okay. Yes. Okay, very good. See, now, when I say about the particular consideration to ensure the effectiveness and security of the remote audit. Okay, the question talks about consideration with respect to effectiveness and the security of remote audit. So I should focus upon two main aspects: the effectiveness and the security. And I need to provide the consideration with respect to that. So for the effectiveness, I need to have, see, you can make an audit effective if you have the proper planning in place. That is basic. Like, I can make the audit effective only when I have a proper planning in place. When I talk about security, I can make good security of the remote audit, or I can increase the security if I consider for the data protection. Yes or no? Are you getting the point?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So when I make sure about the data protection, when I make sure about the data security, confidentiality, at that point in time, I can, ensure about the security of the remote audit. So data protection, confidentiality. Then if I want to make my audit effective, if I want to make the remote audit effective, so audit is based on the risk-based audit. Okay. So you do a good planning, you can go towards the effective audit. You do a good risk assessment, because this is the very crucial stage of the audit or crucial part of the audit. If your risk assessment is wrong, you are gone. Remember that. If your risk assessment is wrong, you are gone totally. So by this way, I can make my remote audit, effective and secure by focusing upon planning, by focusing upon risk assessment, by focusing on data protection, confidentiality. I can focus upon security. Let's see the answer also. See, your answer for this goes on to the page number 12.27 straight away, directly. Consideration for remote audit. First of all, we will talk about feasibility and planning. As I told you, if your planning is good, it will be effective. You need to ensure audit timelines, meeting platform, how will you meet, okay, data exchange mechanisms, ensure feasibility is determine what technology is used, okay, what resources are available. Then comes to the confidentiality, security, and data protection. Like again, how you are ensuring confidentiality, data security, encryption, sharing platform. Like if it is shared through a platform, like it should be private platform, it should be protected, sent across the network. Okay, you need to consider the legislation and regulation. See, in certain countries, you cannot bring the data outside the country. There are laws in certain countries. You need to make sure. Yes.
Yeah, in European country, England, there is a protection. We should not use the data outside.
GDPR. So legislation, regulation is very important role, plays very important role. You need to ensure that you are complying with the law. Okay. If you may think of using a VPN service to protect the data, plus how you are getting the data, screenshot, documents, how you are saving that particular data, how you are making sure that this data which is shared across the network is encrypted. Okay. So security, data protection, risk assessment. You have to do a appropriate risk assessment, because without risk assessment, your audit is fail. You can't make your audit effective. So you need to think about risk assessment. and you need to provide. So whatever is there in SA 315, understanding the entity and its environment. So over there, you have a detailed guidelines how to perform the risk assessment. So you need to make sure that all is complied with when you are doing the remote audit. Okay. You document that particular risk assessment appropriately. So all these things can be done to make sure that your audit is effective and like you can ensure effectiveness and security of the remote audit. Here,
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. The risk assessment in the sense that the three stages, the aim, in that whether they assess the impact and manage, whether the
that is
cyber
only,
cyber risk framework, whether they are effective framework is there or not. First, we need to ensure before doing it. This is
see.
what this is what you are conveying on the risk assessment.
No. See, when I talk about aim, it's only for the cyber risk. Okay. When I'm
No.
doing the audit,
No. My question is not like that. On the consideration while you are doing following, if the feasibility, planning, and consider confidentiality, security data, the another point is risk assessment. In that risk
yes.
assessment, whether we need to ensure that aim is there and cyber framework is there. What you are conveying on this points and the risk assessment?
Okay. See, when I talk about risk assessment, I'm talking about basic normal risk assessment, the old risk assessment, the way we do in our audit. Okay, I'm not talking about cyber risk. Forget the cyber risk as of now. You are doing remote audit. It's an audit at the end. Okay, I'm talking about audit only. So I'm talking about risk assessment with respect to the audit that you do as per SA 315, not the cyber risk. So in order to make a remote audit effective, you have to do the proper risk assessment. Plain old vanilla risk assessment that we have in SA 315. And you need to make sure that you do an appropriate risk assessment in remote audit. See, when we do a risk assessment, we have to understand the entity. For that, we go and meet. If you remember SA 315, it says that have the meeting with the management, visit the place, understand the entity, understand the processes. Now, those everything, that particular everything you have to do remotely. You need to understand the entity remotely. You need to meet the people remotely. You need to gather the information about the entity remotely. So, risk assessment, basically, what we used to do in audit, old plain vanilla risk assessment, is required to be done in a way that you make sure that you get the same output as you were getting in the physical audit or physical risk assessment. Am I clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, sir.
Any further doubts? Okay. See, when it comes to the cyber risk, okay, you may write that in data protection because data is being transferred. It is part of the security, cyber security that will be there. But when I talk about effectiveness, I'm talking about plain old concepts of risk assessment and plan. Okay, let's take one more question and then, we will be good with this particular topic. I hope you will be then, able to understand most of the things out of it. Okay. In fact, there are two more questions that we can take.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Again, quickly we will go through this question. Emerging technologies can bring great benefits, but they also come with a varied set of substantial risks. Give some examples of technological risk of digital system and the control consideration to consider while assessing the technology risk. Read a question and then try to answer. Again, think of 5 marks. Come on, guys. Pretty easy, straightforward. There is nothing difficult in this question. Give some examples of technology risk of digital system and the control consideration to consider while assessing the technology risk. Anyone? No? We have actually discussed this question multiple times. I'm talking about examples of technology risk. So if I talk about example of technology risk, unauthorized access, possibility of information, being go beyond the privileges, gaining access privileges, unauthorized or erroneous changes to the data, unauthorized changes to the system, failure to make appropriate changes, inappropriate manual intervention, potential loss of data, cyber security risk, third-party services. Okay, so we have dealt with this particular examples of it is pure examples of technology risk. Simple. Nothing difficult in this. Clear? We have done this.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So we provided examples. That's the simple, straightforward, nothing else. Okay. One important question that I want to take, it's a very good question. It is on the emerging technologies. Like I know that is something, you guys might not be, if you have seen the lecture, you will be aware about it. But again, let's take it. Case study, it is XY Bank, headquartered in New York. XY Bank, headquartered in New York, offers a broad range of financial services, including asset management, commercial banking, investment banking, treasury, and security service. The 5 Indian banks in partnership with XY Bank provide a comprehensive range of banking services and products encompassing retail banking, corporate banking, international banking, and other financial services. All these banks have been significant contributors to the digitalization of bank service in India. Okay. Under the pilot program, the Indian banks will open on-chain Nostro accounts with XY Bank branch in Gift City. The blockchain-based system is expected to facilitate instant 24/7 settlement between the accounts held at the US bank. Essentially, it will create a private intra-correspondent banking network, redefining the traditional banking hours and enabling seamless money transfer. Okay. So now, the question here is that how do you perform the audit of this particular, sorry, apologies. From where again? Okay. How do you audit this blockchain? Now, how do you audit this particular process? If you have to audit, how you will carry out the audit? How to perform audit of blockchain process, which is there. Straight question. You need to provide the steps to perform the audit of the above blockchain.
Sir, firstly, we need to understand the complete blockchain process, how it is running. We need to understand the end-to-end process of it.
Yes.
From initiating to from the settlement, how the transaction is happening from the blockchain. Because the blockchain concept is new to us, we need to study the blockchain model, how it is working.
Yeah.
Then what is the agreement between the bank to bank? From the foreign bank to Indian bank, the 5 branch, what is the agreement exactly they are having? What is the commission fixed? What is the income sharing? What is the expense sharing? How that remittance of the foreign currency transaction? All these things we need to review based on the contract agreement.
Yes.
And what is the technology also used to, we need to determine. Based on that, we need to identify, assess the internal controls. Is there any internally control placed by the management for that? Then how the data is transferred with the security, the encryption is there, and we need to check for that. See, in that country, what is the regulation? In the other country, what is the regulation framework? Whether all these things is there or not, we need to verify all these things. We need to check it out.
Yes, very good. Absolutely correct. Yes. So if I give you an answer, like first we need to have a comprehensive understanding of the blockchain-based pilot program, its objectives, scope, and key processes involved. Unless and until you don't understand the process, you cannot audit it. You need to see now here, it is the partnership involved, like, between banks and XY bank. So you need to review the partnership agreement, contracts, legal documentation, which is involved, so that you can understand the process more deeply. You need to, see what is the technology used for the blockchain. Okay, which technology is being used for the blockchain or for the smart contracts. Now there are multiple blockchains. Okay, you will find multiple blockchains, technologies also in that scenario. So which is one used one? You need to assess the internal control which is there in the whole process. Okay, you need to review the policies and procedures related to on-chain nostro accounts, settlement process, money transfer mechanism. You need to assess the governance framework, risk management practices of the bank. You need to check for the encryption method, cryptography, secure transmission protocols, which are used for the data protection. Again, you need to make sure that, you check for the unauthorized accesses. What are the controls around it? What are the controls around cyber threat, cyber risk, vulnerabilities on the blockchain network? Because it's an open network, blockchain one. Okay. How they are recorded, settled accurately on the blockchain. You need to ensure that what are the controls around data accuracy. Okay. You need to ensure that what is the, controls which are there to make sure that, nothing goes wrong in the blockchain. If, let's say, for example, blockchain is a system where you cannot edit a transaction in between. It's a chain. Okay. If you edit one transaction in between, the whole chain goes off totally. So you have to make sure that, there are reconciliations constantly being performed before a new transaction is being added, after a new transaction being added. Compliance and regulatory requirements, what the law says, business continuity and disaster recovery. So these are certain steps, and then you need to accordingly, test the effectiveness of these plans, and you need to conduct the, operating effectiveness, design effectiveness of the controls, and accordingly you need to decide, perform the audit of that particular blockchain program. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that was your chapter number 12. Any doubt with respect to chapter number 12? Any doubt? No doubts? Pretty much done?
Sir,
All
how
are
to do this? Sorry, sir. How
No,
to
no.
do this chapter very it's very difficult to remember this chapter because all the points are very mixing and complicated. So
Okay.
how to remember this?
Okay, understood. See, what you can do is you can go topic wise. The way we have taken is, for example, understand the whole chapter is talking about two important things. One is digital audit and second is auditing digitally. Either the topic is related to auditing digitally, which is remote audit, okay, tools and technologies, emerging technologies. Either it is talking about digital audit. For example, understanding the IT environment, understanding the cyber risk, cyber security framework. So the whole chapter is divided in two big categories. And from that, you understand which topic is pertaining to which category. And then accordingly, you will be able to remember the whole chapter. For example, if I talk about digital audit, that is auditing the digital systems. It includes the understanding the IT environment. It includes the risk assessment. Now, one of the risk of the digital audit is or digital system is cyber risk. So how we assess the cyber risk, AIM method. Cyber risk is just one part. When I talk about risk assessment, for the digital systems, you need to have the cyber security framework. And cyber risk assessment is one part of that. So cyber security framework, 5 steps, IPRD, okay. Then you have a different types of technologies to understand which are the technologies which are there in IT environment, so that you can perform the digital audit appropriately. RPA, robotics, blockchain, a lot of things are there that we have discussed. Okay, again, that is related to the digital audit, because if you have to audit the system, you need to understand the system. On the other way around, auditing digitally, like using of tools and technology, like again, RPS comes into both categories. You can use for the audit also. There are emerging technologies for the audit, remote audit, advantages of what you can say, auditing digitally. A lot of things are there in that. So that's how you need to bifurcate the chapter and understand it.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Any other doubts? Anyone? No? Okay. If no further doubts, let's proceed to the chapter number 18. Now, what is chapter number 18 basically about? Chapter number 18 is about your Sustainable Development Goals, ESG. Okay. Sustainable Development Goals and ESG assurance. Now, what are Sustainable Development Goals and what are ESG assurance? What is ESG assurance basically? Can anyone tell me what is ESG assurance? Anyone? Okay, can anyone tell me about ESG? What they understand by ESG?
That environmental, social governance.
Yes,
We have to study these things. We need to give the report of it while
absolutely
we are
yes.
presenting to the financial reporting.
Okay, very good. See, we'll start by understanding the term sustainability. Now, when I talk about sustainability, okay, it means that when I talk about the term sustainable development was known as, a concept like, okay, development that meets the need of present, but it allows the future generation to develop further. Okay. So development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the need of the future. That means whatever development we are doing today, it should not impact the development of the future. That is sustainable development. Now the question comes is why we are understanding this. What is the need for understanding sustainable development? So the need to understand sustainable development is because we need to understand this particular part. Sustainable Development Goals, SDG. We need to understand Sustainable Development Goals. Now, can anyone tell me what are Sustainable Development Goals? Anyone? What do you think when you read the
Sir, current state to we need to go to the future state. When the
yeah, but what do you mean by Sustainable Development Goals?
The business has to follow those practices that the developer.
Sorry.
So reducing poverty and reducing this unemployment, giving the pure and clean water to all.
Business has to follow the policies that resources are used and development does not happen at the cost of the environment.
Understood? Okay. What else?
Use the resources very
Judiciously.
judicious. Yes, sir.
Sustainable development goals. See, from where it came. In 2015, UN, established 17 sustainable development goals. In 2015, 17 sustainable development goals were introduced. They were a blueprint to make the world better, cover everything, poverty, hunger, and a lot of things were there in that. Okay. So these SDGs were announced by the UN in 2015, the 17 SDGs. I'll just show you quickly. So these are the 17 SDGs. If you see, no poverty, zero hunger, good health, quality education, gender equality, clean water, affordable clean energy, decent work conditions, industry innovations, reduced inequalities, sustainable cities, responsible consumption, climate action, life below water, life on land, peace, partnership goals. Now, based on these particular goals, there was a new concept which came into place. When these goals were announced, there was the reporting requirement on these goals. So UN said that, okay, we have gave up these goals, we have given these goals, but let's do one thing. We will ask corporates, organizations, companies to report on these goals. How you are doing it. Because without reporting, we will never understand that, okay, how the progress is being done on this particular goal. And that was the Agenda 2030. Okay. This was the 2030 agenda that we have to achieve this. So UN suggested, please include this in the reporting. Reporting means financial reporting, the reporting which is done by the corporates, organizations, companies, a lot of people. Okay. Now, once this came into the main picture, main area, a lot of governments, a lot of, organizations, a lot of companies first started voluntary disclosure, and then they try to adopt this as a part of their normal financial reporting, annual report disclosure. Now, as you know, that whenever a reporting or disclosure requirement comes, assurance follow behind it. That means to make sure the reporting is done correct, you need to audit that particular reporting. Yes or no?
Yes.
That's where the reporting resulted in assurance. And that's why we hear this particular part. ESG assurance, environmental, social, and governance assurance. From SGD, we move to the ESG. I'm just, as of now, giving a background and summary. Okay. From SGD, we move to the ESG. And from ESG, we move to the ESG reporting. Now we have the ESG, audits. So that to ensure that this is correct. So this is a chain. You can understand that SGD gave a good standing to ESG, and ESG then got a reporting part, and then now we have the ESG audits. The question comes is it the first time that we have ESG reporting? Answer is no. It is not the first time that we have the ESG reporting. SGD was introduced in 2015, but before that, there were a lot of things. Okay, there were a lot of things which were being followed, and after that also there were a lot of things which are being followed. Like SGD is not the only one, or ESG is not the only one.
Sir, we have CSR activity.
Yes, we have CSR. Very good. So we have a CSR reporting also. There is a specific requirements to CSR under companies there. Okay. So that is a trend in India. Now, when I talk about ESG reporting, understand that this is very important. I'm coming to. Okay. When I talk about ESG reporting, can anyone tell me what is ESG reporting? What do you mean by ESG reporting? Anyone? What do you mean by ESG reporting? No?
So we are following the rules, regulations of employees, its environment, and for the country also.
Yes. Okay. Very good. Yeah.
So it's information that companies provide about their performance to the outside world on a regular basis, both positive as well as negative in economic, social, as well as environment impacts, all that.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. So, it is reporting on the environment, social governance, employees, and everything. But is there a defined format for that reporting? So the answer to that is yes, there is a defined format to that particular reporting. There are, it's not only the one particular format, there are multiple formats to that reporting. And here comes the important part to understand. The reporting formats. In financial statement, we have a applicable financial reporting framework. Okay. We have Schedule 3, we have NDS, we have other different kind of reporting framework. Yes or no? Similarly, in ESG, we have a reporting frameworks, which are one Indian specific, second is international. When I talk about international, I have GRI, that is Global Reporting Initiative, again a framework to report on ESG. There's a CDP, Carbon Disclosure Project, again a framework to report on ESG. You have the IIRC, that is International Integrated Reporting Framework. Okay. International Integrated Reporting Framework, from which we got integrated reporting, IR. Okay. In India, in Indian concept, if I talk about like what we have in India, in India, there is a brief timeline. Okay. So starting from 2009, first we got, basically in India, we got the voluntary guidelines on corporate social responsibility. They were voluntary guideline on CSR reporting, 2009. They were voluntary. Okay. In 2011, if I am not wrong, in 2011, you got national voluntary guidelines on social, environmental, and economic responsibility of the business. So again, national voluntary guidelines on business responsibility of business. Okay. Then in there between somewhere in 2015 or 2013, basically, you get a new company there and it introduced CSR. In 2015, SEBI comes up with the BRR, that is the business responsibility statement or business responsibility reporting for top 500 companies, top 500 listed companies. Okay. So SEBI comes with BRR. And you can say that national voluntary guidelines for the responsibility reporting of the business. Okay. Somewhere down the line became the business responsibility reporting, BRR. It was part of the SEBI LODR regulations. In 2017, okay, SEBI said, okay, now we want to go international. We want to make that our reporting should be compliant with the international. So that let's do one thing. SEBI said, let's adopt this IR reporting. So SEBI adopted this IR reporting in 2017. In 2019, SEBI said, okay, now let's do one thing. The voluntary guidelines which were there, MCA said that the voluntary guidelines which were there, national voluntary guidelines, let's make it mandatory. In 2019. In 21, okay, SEBI, in an attempt to modify the BRR and IR. So SEBI said, okay, we have a BRR, we have a IR, let's combine it and let's make it one combined reporting that became the BRSR reporting that we have in currently. That is business responsibility and sustainable reporting. Okay. So SEBI in 2011 made it mandatory BRSR reporting. Now, what is BRSR reporting? If you see, BRSR reporting basically goes hand in hand with the SGD reporting. So BRSR plus SGD, they are combined. So let me quickly show you if I have, just give me a minute. I'll show you one BRSR reporting for your understanding. Just give me a minute. Yeah. Okay. See, now I'll show you the BRSR reporting plus your SGD reporting in one of the annual report. That's there for your understanding. Okay. The 6C integrated reporting. Remember, integrated reporting is there. Integrated reporting is nothing but the 6C reporting. That means you have a, I'll just show you also integrated reporting. Yeah. So integrated reporting talks about financial capital, manufactured capital, natural capital, human capital, social capital. Same I'm showing you in one of the annual reports. See, this is integrated reporting approach, which is there for the ESG governance. And here they have talked about multiple, capital requirements, multiple things. For example, you have a natural capital over here. Okay. If you'll read, then you have a human capital over here. Okay. You have a manufactured capital over here. The way SEBI made it mandatory for the integrated reporting, now it is done. Intellectual capital over here. This is the integrated reporting. Okay. And then beyond that, SEBI made it mandatory that, okay, everyone should have the BRSR. Now, BRSR, again, if you have a BRSR, there is an assurance required behind it. See, you have this particular part over here. Independent practitioners assurance report on the identified sustainable information. Assurance on the sustainable information, like ESG information, which is there in the annual report, integrated annual report. So there is a assurance given, audit done on that. See, here are the GRI standards. I was talking about global GRI standards. There is an appendix to this. Here is the sustainability information, which is there in the report. Plus, I'll show you the BRSR reporting. So there are multiple things in an annual report. One of such is the BRSR reporting that is required to be done. Yeah, here it is. Now, whenever there's a BRSR reporting, CSR reporting is there, that is fine. But whenever there's a BRSR reporting, they map it with this particular, see, if you see over here, number 5, these are the sustainable development goals, 17 sustainable development goals. So each and every reporting which is there, they map it with the SGD. So one of the requirement is to map it with the SGD. Whatever you are doing, whatever reporting is happening, on what level it is mapped to the SGD. So these are the sustainable development goals, 17 sustainable development goals. Everything is being mapped to that. Plus, okay, we reached to the audit report. Just give me a minute. I'll go back above. This was integrated reporting. Plus, you have, other ESG reporting. For example, if you see over here, health, safety, sustainability, a lot of, ESG reporting happens in the audit report. Annual report. Okay. So this is how, basically, I'm just giving an idea. This is how, ESG reporting happens. And BRSR reporting is also part of that, where you link everything. And again, I showed you sustainability assurance report on this particular part. So that's why, everything comes into the picture, that once BRSR reporting is there, once, sustainability reporting is there, integrated reporting is there, assurance is required. Are you getting the point? Assurance is basically then required. I will show you one more thing. Wait. Yes. So basically, if I show you the one more report, nowadays, one more report is being used or published. That is this one. Okay. These are the general disclosures. That is the business sustainability and BRSR reporting. Along with your annual report, there's a separate BRSR report which is being published. A lot of information goes in this. CSR related, then, entity related information, employee related information. A lot of things goes in BSR. And it's a very big report. Very big. It's not some, simple report. It's a very big report. One important part of the BRSR reporting is these 9 principles. You have these 9 principles over here. Okay. This comes from the BRR. Remember, we discussed about the BRR. This comes from the BRR. That was there in 2015. That SEBI introduced BRR, 9 principle reporting. And when it got integrated with the IR, it becomes the BRSR. So as of today, you will see the integrated reporting. Just for your understanding. Okay, this was for your understanding, like what is BRSR reporting, what is BRR, what is IR reporting. So all these reportings are there. Now coming to the
From your
part.
computer, cases discussion starts in 15.
Sir, is now only BRSR report only applicable or any other report applicable?
No. When I talk about BRSR, most of the corporates, they also report from the international point of view. Like GRI, CDP and IR reporting still being followed. Because internationally, they are also followed.
Okay, when those companies is having the business cross-border level, those company will follow the international also.
Yes.
So only for the company is for maintaining the business within the India, they need to follow the BRSR. In addition to BRSR, is there any other report to be followed by the Indian company when the company is not having the cross-border level business?
See, there are some additional ESG reporting based on the type of the company. So, for example, apart from the top 1,000 listed entities, there are additional reporting requirements issued by the SEBI. There are additional reporting requirements issued by the, let's say, for example, CSR related. Okay, so there are some additional small reporting requirement, but not big as BRSR reporting. So you can say major reporting requirement for the Indian company, BRSR and CSR.
Sir, all the 9 points we have to show in BRSR reports. All the 9 points.
Again, there are 9 principles in the BRR. Earlier
Yes,
there
sir.
were
Principles. Yes.
but BRSR has given some, I think, 40 odd points or 40 odd disclosures where you need to map it with the 9 principles. So it's a very detailed report. It's not only restricted to 9 principles, there are 40 odd disclosures in the BRSR. For example, I'll show you one. We will read one, okay, so that we can understand. And there are question-based reportings. So these are not the straightforward reportings. These are the question-based reportings where you need to provide information like numerical information. I'll show you one example so that you can understand. Okay. See this particular example over here. Percentage of R&D capital expenditure investment in specific technologies to improve the environmental social impact of the product process to total R&D capex investment made by the entity. This is one of the requirement which is there. This BRSR reporting requirement. Okay. This is the one of the principle wise requirement that is you are required to do. So you need to provide this particular ratio. R&D, CAPEX, what is the percentage in current year, what is the percentage in the last year, how you calculated that, okay. Plus, when they do the additional information, along with that, there are additional questions. Does the entity have the procedures in place for sustainable sourcing? If yes, then you give the answer. Describe the process in place for safely reclaim your products for reusing, recycling, disposing at the end of life. So a lot of information is given over here. Now, if you say, like, I have to provide this information, someone has to audit it. Someone has to verify it, calculate it. This is calculated number. So there is a calculations involved. There is an audit involved. Then only these kind of reports are issued. I just go on the top. If I have the assurance report over here, I'll just show you the assurance report also on the BRSR, if it is there. See, type of assurance, reasonable. Name of the assurance provider, this is the name of the assurance provider. So here we have the assurance involved in it. Someone has gone and audited all the information which is there. So now the question comes is, how? You have the auditing standard for the audit. What do you have the standard for the auditing the BRSR reporting? Can anyone tell me? Your auditing standard for auditing the financial statement. How do you audit? What standard do you follow for auditing this particular part?
Sir, ICAI has given one standard for this assurance.
Can you tell me the name? Name any name you have. Okay. So basically, ICAI in 2020 started a Sustainability Reporting Standard Board, SRSB. That sustainability SRSB has provided already few things. Number one, to audit this BRSR, we have the following. First, we have double SAE 3000. Okay, there is one standard which is issued, double SAE 3000, which is based on the international standard also. Then you have SAE 3410. That is the assurance engagement on greenhouse gas statement. Okay. So that is the assurance engagement on greenhouse gas statement. Plus, there is in 2021 that SRSB issued a background material on BSR audit, BRSR auditing. So we have a background material on BRSR auditing. Okay. Then there are FAQs. Then there is a very important part, that is a sustainability maturity model. Nowadays we have its version 2, but there is a sustainability reporting maturity model. On the basis of that, you evaluate what is the maturity level of the sustainability reporting. Internationally, this is by the ICAI. Internationally, if I talk about, there is a IFRS on reporting. There is a IFRS Trust, that is the International Sustainability Standard Board, ISSB. Okay, they have already issued some standards with respect to the international reporting. So they have, along with this, they have IFRS, RS S1 and S2. IFRS S1 and S2. There are the global standards which are issued. One is for your normal ESG reporting. Second is the climate related disclosures. Already into the picture, which are followed internationally. Okay. So this is what as of now we have as a material. As of now we have these standards to ensure that the reporting is done appropriately. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So these are certain things which are there. Apart from that, we have one important particular type of audit in India. Apart from this ESG audit, we have one important type of audit that is known as your social audit. Okay, that is social audit. Now for social audit, we have social standards into the place, social audit standards. Now what are these standards basically? If you see the name of the standards, like eradicating hunger, promoting health, promoting education. Now what is this standard basically? These standards aim to provide guidance to the social auditors. Now what is social audit is? Audit of the social activity, okay, non-profit organizations. Now let's say there is a non-profit organization which is running a program on eradicating hunger, okay, or they are running program on eradicating poverty. Now this particular, if I want to audit a program on eradicating poverty, do you think I can apply the standards on auditing for this? Should I apply standards on auditing? Yes, no? Should I apply SA to audit this program? Yes or no?
No, sir. We need to use the social audit standarding.
Exactly. So these social auditing standards are divided into categories to provide you guidance. If you want to audit a program on poverty, use SAS 100. If you want to audit something on the, let's say, environmental sustainability, climate change related thing, use 500. If you want to audit something on the disaster management, use 1200. If you want to audit some programs on the incubator social enterprise supporting like that, use SAS 800. This is how these standards are there. Are you required to go in detail of each standard? Answer is no. Are you required to read the text of each standard? Answer is no. So this is how you need to just remember the concept. That's it. There is no need to go in detail of that. Okay, as of now. But if you want, you can go and read it. Perfectly fine. Okay, so this is the background about chapter number 18. Are we clear with this?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, make our background more good. To make our background, appropriate, let's solve some questions so that we can answer, okay, the questions in the exam. Okay. The question is, Consistent Enterprise Limited, a listed company, has been voluntarily preparing and disclosing a sustainability report based on the internationally accepted integrated reporting framework for some years, even before BRSR reporting became mandatory. Even after BRSR reporting became mandatory, it is cross-referencing disclosure made under such reporting to disclosure sought under BRSR reporting. The key focus of integrated reporting is how the company creates value over the short and medium and long term. Following the further information is provided in respect of the above company, it has secured a loan to expand its operation and invest the funds in purchasing raw materials and machinery. The loan, along with the revenue generated from the existing sales, contribute to the pool of resource available for production. Second, it has increased the number of beneficiaries under its flexible CSR program from previous 10,000 to 75,000. It has provided value for communities and provided sustainable livelihood to them. Discussing the above information, identify which of the capitals of the integrated reporting are being referred in 1 and 2. So can anyone first of all tell me what are the 6 capitals in the integrated reporting?
One is human capital.
Yeah.
Financial capital.
Manufacturing capital, intellectual capital.
Very good. Very good. So now out of these capitals, okay, which one it refers to 1 and 2? Come on. Which one it refers to? So what do you think? Which one it will refer to?
First is capital. Financial capital, and second is human. No, social.
Human.
Sir, first
Okay.
one is manufactured capital, sir.
Manufactured capital. Okay. Okay. So some are saying human capital, some are saying manufactured capital. Oh, sorry, finance capital and manufactured capital. Second one you are reporting as a human capital and any other? Okay.
It
I'll tell
talks
you.
about loan, it's a financial capital only, sir, not a manufactured capital.
Very good. Yes. Okay. So let's go and understand these capitals and quickly, then see. So there are 6 capital. Financial capital, manufactured capital. Okay. You have a natural capital, human capital. You have a social capital and intellectual capital. Now, what is finance capital? Pool of funds. Remember, finance capital, it's about the funds that are used for the production. But primarily, it's talking about the funds. When I talk about manufactured capital, it is talking about equipments for the manufacturing. Okay. In our question, if I go to the question again, it is talking about loan to purchase raw materials. So it is funds, it goes to the finance capital. Second, they are talking about flagship beneficiary program for the CSR. Okay. Let's go back and see. So natural capital or human capital, when we talk about organizational governance, organization strategy for the employees, okay, for support of human rights. But when you talk about social capital, you talk about outside the company, you talk about within the community, okay, you talk about people outside the company, what you are doing for them. And over here in your question, is talking about CSR. CSR represents social outside the company, not within the company. That's why it's a social capital.
Social
Finance
capital.
and finance social capital. Clear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Any doubts? Can we take one more question?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, let's take one more question. Very good question I have. It's a detailed case study basically. Okay. So let's go with this case study, case scenario. CA Ram, CA Lakshman are the close friend and are into practice of sole proprietors. Both decide to expand their focus on taking up more assignment in the field of goods and service tax. Okay, now this has one part of BRSR. Okay, I'll come to that and we will ignore rest of it. On back of the same, they both decided to conduct a joint training session for their clients on GST. They invited other CA. Okay. However, the person declined the same, informing this act will again the professional ethics. Fine. Now let's focus on the BRSR reporting. The partner of Messrs. A&K Associate is a close friend of CA Ram. The firm was involved in the audit of a listed company which was required to submit BRSR reporting or BRSR report. The company being audited was into the thermal energy production in business in India. They had submitted details about the total emission from its production outlet during the year and a detailed energy consumption plan which it had devised from the upcoming years. Since CA Ram has undergone a course on sustainability reporting, he was approached for getting advice on what needs to be reported in BRSR of the company. As a gesture for helping the firm, the partner of the firm suggested CA Ram's name to other case studies there. So we'll ignore it. But this is first of the important point that we need to focus upon. Okay, there is a BRSR reporting required to happen. There is a total emission details which are required to be submitted, energy consumption details which are required to be submitted, and they want CA Ram's help. Okay, now we'll go to the question. With regard to the BRSR reporting on the data of total emission and the future energy consumption plan of the company, how do you treat them? The details of the emission form part of essential indicators, needs to be mandatorily disclosed. However, the plan for future energy consumption is only a leadership indicator and considered as an optional disclosure. Both the emission details of emission and future energy consumption plan form part of essential indicators and need to be mandatorily disclosed in the BRSR. Details of emission are leadership indicators, optional disclosure, and future energy consumption is an essential indicator, mandatorily disclosed. Details of emission disclosures, future energy consumption, both are leadership indicators, are optional disclosure. So what is the correct answer?
B, sir.
B, okay. Anyone else with some different answer? Okay, B. Very good. Anyone else? No? Okay. See, now when it comes to the BRSR reporting, okay, there are two different things, essential indicators and leadership indicators. When it comes to the emission part, because when I talk about business responsibility, sustainability reporting, carbon emission is the focused area for each and every, ESG reporting. So emission reporting cannot go into the optional part. That is for sure. That is for sure. Energy and emission cannot go into the optional. So wherever you see that energy is going or emission is going into the optional, that is a wrong. That is a wrong part. So if I talk about C, where they are talking emission is an optional, incorrect. Emission and future energy consumption, everything is optional, incorrect. So two options gone out of the picture. Now A and B. In actual, emissions are the part of essential indicator. We know that. But future energy consumption is optional because you cannot as of now predict the future energy consumption. That's why it was included in the leadership indicator and making it optional. It is about the future. Okay. So the correct answer is A rather than the B. Future energy consumption is not mandatorily required to be disclosed as of today. Okay. Clear?
Yes.
Second question we have, like second MCQ. The futuristic plan which the company has for its energy consumption can be categorized under which principle of national guidelines on responsible business conduct? Ethics, transparency, accountability, protection, restoration of environment, respect for stakeholders, influence on public and regulatory policy. Pretty straightforward. You can just apply, general parlance and you can get the answer. Trust me. Just relate the words, you can get the answer. Yes, Prashant.
Principle 6, B1, protection and restoration of environment.
Absolutely correct. Yes, it is B. See, it is energy consumption. Okay, it cannot be ethics. Energy consumption ethics doesn't match. Stakeholders energy consumption doesn't match. Public and influence on public with energy consumption doesn't match. The only option left is principle 6, protection, restoration of environment. You can do like this also. But in actual also, energy consumption goes part of the principle 6. Clear? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Any doubts with respect to any of the questions that we discussed?
Sir, how to remember this 9 principles orderly we have to do, no?
9 principles orderly. See, you need to, if you want to remember these 9 principles now, the only way to remember is by understanding. See, like I say that, everything you need to understand logically, don't mug up. For example, I'll take you to the 9 principles and I'll provide you. Now, when I talk about 9 principles, okay, if you see one by one, ethics, transparency, accountability, okay, understand why they were included in the reporting. Safe and sustainable goods, promote well-being of the employees. Again, they are linked to your sustainable development goals. So these 9 principles are nothing but you can say a combination of sustainable development goals. And once you understand that, stakeholders, respect and promote human rights, protect and restoration of environment, influence on public, promote inclusive growth, and the last one is value to the customers. If you remember from that point of view, by understanding the concept, why they were introduced, there will be no need to mug up. Any further doubts? Or I can give you one more thing. Okay, I have prepared some short notes for you guys. It may not be that much easy to remember, but some summarization I have tried for you. For example, 9 principles of BRSR reporting. Okay, so there are 2 on environment. Okay, that is 26 to principle number 2 and principle number 6. 4 on social, that is 3, 4, 5, 8. 3 on governance, 179. 1, 7, and 9. So by this way, you can remember like safe and environment, safe, sustainable environment that is required. So if you see environment, safe, sustainable environment, one that is 26. When you say social, employee, stakeholder, human growth. When you say governance, ethics, public, consumer, 179. So this is how you can, summarize and try to remember easily. I hope this is something you can easily remember.
Yes, sir. It's interesting.
Yes.
Okay. Any other doubt? Any other questions? There is one short paragraph also for you, like one line to remember the IR reporting, that financial minds invest in human, social, and natural capital. Okay, so that is financial, human, social, natural capital. So 5 are already done, and that is the IR. That is the 6th one is the intellectual capital of the investment. So this is how you can also remember the IR reporting. I tried to simplify it, but again, yeah. Okay, if no further doubts, then we have a Tanya ma'am with us. Hello, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, Arshad ji. Hello, everyone. On behalf of each and every student, I want to thank you, Harshit sir, for giving us so brief notes. I was doing those mnemonic codes, man, that are really going to help each and everyone. I'm sure, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
We really demand such, yeah. How to and the question asked was how to remember, 9 principles, and you yourself prepared those notes. So I'm grateful to you for that, and thank you everyone for patience listening. So today we covered 2 chapters: chapter number 12, digital auditing and assurance, and chapter number 18, ESG and SDG. Both the chapters are asked for 4 to 6 marks each in examination. In digital auditing, we learned how digital auditing enhances efficiency, improves audit quality, and allows for better risk assessment. Technologies like RPA, AI, blockchain, and data analytics are not just buzzwords, they are becoming integral part of audit profession. So we need to understand what is the significance of IT environment, identify IT related risks and dependencies, and what is the increasing use of cyber security. All of I think Anshu sir have covered each and everything. In fact, we need to understand that cyber risks are no longer just IT issues; they are becoming the business issues. As an auditor, we are going to be a future auditor. We are going to the future of the country. So we play a very crucial role in assessing the financial impact of these technologies in auditing. We also have seen how tools like ACL, Altrex, Power BI enable us to analyze vast amount of data and derive actionable insights, improving both depth and precision of our audits. Through remote auditing, we now ensure continuity of assurance even in challenging times while protecting data privacy and ensuring evidence integrity. So students, at last we understood what is next generation audit, a vision that is human led, tech powered and data driven, which help us in provide auditing like drones. It helps us in inventory. If we are not available physically available at client's place, we can use drones for the verification of the stock counting, everything. So today we are technology driven, and we should know how we can use the technology in auditing as well. And further, we discussed chapter SDG and ESG. You all have seen the short notes by Harshil sir. So in this chapter is also very important because minimum 4 marks are asked from this chapter. So we explored the meaning of ESG and how these pillars help measure companies' impact beyond profits. Through 17 SDGs, we saw how nations and businesses are working together to end poverty, protect planning, ensure peace and prosperity for all. We also discussed how ESG reporting has evolved, especially in India, where companies now report their sustainability through efforts through the BRSR. We looked at frameworks like GRI, integrated reporting, and work of ISSB. All these aims to bring consistency and credibility to global sustainability reporting. So students, these both the chapters are important, and I hope you all are doing written practice. As Karuna ma'am said in previous lecture also, that in auditing, written practice is really very must, and students think that auditing is a theoretical subject. We just need to learn, cram. As one of the students asked me how we can learn. So instead of thinking that auditing is a theoretical subject, if we take it as a practical subject, we will understand it better. We daily apply auditing in our daily life also in each and every aspect, whether we check our daily expenses, whether we check our wallet, or whether we check hotel. When we go in hotel, we order something, and after at the end, when we get the invoice, we check whether we ordered this thing or whether the amount is correct or not. So auditing, we are doing it everywhere. But we need to understand that while we study audit, we make it ourselves panic because सबने ही ये बोला होता है कि ऑडिटिंग बहुत टफ है, कोई पास नहीं होता. वो पहले से हम पर्सपेक्टिव लेकर आते हैं अपना, तो वो हमारा पर्सपेक्टिव बन जाता है. We need to break that and we need to practice auditing as much as we can. So I wish you all the very best. Thank you so much for your participation. Thank you for your patience learning. So keep learning, keep practicing. And if you have any kind of doubt, you can ask us in LVRC itself. And you can also, we also have open sessions on every Wednesday, 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. for auditing specially. You can ask there also. Next session we have on professional ethics and liability. I think, Harshit sir, yes, we have professional ethics and liability on Tuesday. So see you there. Thank you so much. And you will get these notes by Monday itself.
Thank you,
Harshit sir,
ma'am.
whatever Harshit sir said, you will get that by Monday. Okay? Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Harshit sir. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, Ashok. Thank you.